I think every country has their own stories about Taniwha, and it's sort of tied up with a bit of history of the land, about myth and legends, and it's up to you to believe what you want to believe. That island is called Taupo Island, and that is a very sacred island, and there are many stories that I've heard about transgression of tapu. So Taniwha, I think, are related to tapu, and tapu to me means, well, I tell my children when I'm talking to them that the Taniwha is actually the protection for them, and so that they don't transgress, what's the word for it, don't break any tapu, keeping them safe. The Taniwha that I know about is called Horomatangi.
Okay.
Horomatangi is said to have lived on that in a cave under that sacred island. And his job is to protect that island, because on that island is burial grounds of all the ancient chiefs. Okay, and there have been many accidents, if you like to call it that, where people have transgressed. I have a story of a young man who came down and decided he was going to go onto that island, and he collected bones.
Oh, that's very...
He collected bones and took them home. And he stored them under his bed. And his mother found them when she was giving his room a clean out, and she thought, dirty beggar, you know, these horse bones, sort of thing. And she threw them down at the end of the garden. And the brother, who is very, you know, he's very cautious about that sort of thing, and having mixed with us, he knows a bit about Māori tapu and all that sort of thing, and he said to his mother, what the heck's he doing with those bones there? Where did he get them from? And she said, oh, they're just old horse bones. He says, no, they're not, they're human bones. Where did he get them from? And it turned out that they had come from that island there, and he had taken them, so he warned him and told him to bring them back, replace them. So that was done. And the strange thing is, a few months after that, the mother committed suicide. And about a year after that, the father died of cancer. And then a few years after that, this young man committed suicide.
Wow, could you say that?
So that was the whole, and the sister was killed in an accident. And you know, when you look at it, you sort of think, he transgressed that sacredness, and you know.
I've been reading about Utu as well, you know, so maybe
that's
it was
right, that's right, that's the evening out of,
Wow, but the whole family, you know, just because...
The whole family, and this particular friend of ours is the only one remaining out of that, and he left the country. It was just too much for him.
I bet the whole family passed away, you know, that's not coincidence.
No, it wasn't, you know, so that's the story. But there's other stories too. I've read about where these women went home and started cutting the harakeke, or the flax, to make their kete and that sort of thing. And when they got into their waka, it just sank, you know. Another, when I first came here, there was a story, there were some children, I think they were boys, and they were sailing around that island, and I think they were trying to find a way onto the island, and there was suddenly a squall, but nobody else saw the squall. It was just there where those boys were, and they capsized, but they managed to hang on to their boat.
So they survived.
And they survived. So, you know, what are those stories telling you? What's the moral of the story, I guess?
Well, it's not really coincidence, is it?
No,
after all.
No, You know, it's all moral. Every fairy tale has a moral, like Little Goldilocks.
No, of course.
The rahui, I think, is another one.
Okay.
Where they put a ban on the water when somebody has drowned.
Yeah, what, here or you mean
Anywhere.
in general, yeah?
Well, that's the Māori.
Yeah, no, I've heard about some places near the Waikato as well where it's, you know, it's not good to swim in the water and all that.
Yeah. No, when somebody has drowned,
Yeah.
they put a ban on all fishing
Yeah.
and swimming and activities in the river until the body has been found.
Oh wow, yeah.
And they bless the area and
Yeah.
take the tapu off and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So that's another, I suppose, form of taniwha.
Yeah.
The other countries have their own kind of taniwha. You think of the Loch Ness
Yeah,
monster and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know the Loch Ness, one story is in Wellington that there was two taniwha and one stayed
right.
there and died and one broke through the land.
Yes,
you
I
know that one?
story. I know
That was one of the
story.
first ones. In my first week I
Yeah.
was in Wellington I found out about that and I
Yeah.
found that so amazing because I never made that connection with Loch Ness before, you know, and I find that all very fascinating, you know?
Yeah, well, this Horomatangi is the one here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a great-great-grandmother. I had Spanish blood in me and
Right.
Portuguese blood. One of my ancestors came over. He was in the 1800s
Yeah.
and he married Maori woman, you see.
Yeah.
And one of the descendants, she was one of those people, and her taniwha was a pet wheke or octopus.
Yeah, alright, yeah.
And she used to dive into the water at a certain point around our area, and
swim with it.
this octopus would be in there, and she was the only one who was game enough and who was allowed to go in and bring up the big tawa and the kina,
the show,
that sort of thing. Yeah. So I guess that would have been her kaitiaki or her taniwha. Yeah, well, everybody has their own different versions, and everybody's right. I mean, who are we to say? Because it was all passed down by word of mouth or by their carvings on their wharenui and that sort of thing. So, you know, everybody has their own tales. Yeah. I don't know, I think you'd have to ask people, you know.
I'm still going up the East Coast, so this is all coming in play.
The Kaimātua and that, the older people.
No, I'm hoping to speak to them.
Yeah. Even here, you know. I'm sitting here in somebody else's area and I can't make that decision.
Okay, that's fair enough.
An emphasis on safety. You know, especially for the young people, for the children and that sort of thing, so that they realise that, hey, the taniwha is there to protect us, their children, or what they regard as the taniwha, like for instance when they're crossing the road and swimming, all that sort of thing. Or speeding, or whatever. Yeah, so that they have a better understanding of tapu and sacredness and all that sort of thing.
Just Maori heritage in general.
And conservation.
Okay.
Conservation, saving our land.
Okay,